Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Dr. Shealy, are you blissed? Oh, geez. Dr. Shealy, you have a fan on the radio, and her name is Sunny Skidmore. And Sunny Skidmore is the owner of KLID. She owns the affiliate, AM 1340 in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And she will call me and let me know that she's listened to us on the air. She schedules her travel time around us so that she can be in her truck listening to her radio station, KLID, AM 1340, while you and I are on the air. You are her favorite broadcast. So I just wanted to share that with you. You have a really big fan in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, Sunny Skidmore, KLID. And Sunny, thank you so much for carrying us, USA Prepares, on your radio station.
That is always nice, of course.
Yeah. Dr. Shealy, how's Dr. Shealy doing?
Dr. Shealy is doing well, I'm happy to say. Thank you. How is Vincent doing?
Well, I am doing really well, and I have, I mentioned to you that your favorite word, as you've described on the air, is detachment, and I have detached from the oppression of the state of Missouri attacking us.
Oh, God, have you depressed from all government or just that one for the moment?
Well, I've decided to do something about it. And, not only am I actively and positively teaching people how to save money on taxes, because after the state attacked us, demanding tax money that they did not deserve, nor did they have the authority to collect, nor did we have the business to even generate the revenue that they demanded that we pay in taxes. The whole thing was bogus, and I got two apologies. One from the senior legal counsel of the state of Missouri, most so sorry, wrong guy, wrong information, most so sorry for the inconvenience my foot. And then I got a letter from the director of the Division of Revenue as well. And two separate incidents, two separate apologies, and it was nice to get them. But I have detached, and so now I'm teaching classes on the radio about how to avoid paying taxes in lots of different ways. And I've done two specials. The third special is this Friday coming up, part 3 of how to pay less in taxes and how to start your own business. But I've also decided that I should, expand my detachment. And that is, I've decided to run again for the board of directors of the Electric Cooperative. And and the really nice thing about that is I am in almost constant communication with the CEO of the Electric Cooperative, because he is very concerned that I think he wants to make sure I follow the rules for campaigning, that maybe I say all the correct things in the right guidelines, in the right. I think they're worried, Dr. Shealy, that I might say something that they don't mean. Oh, jeez.
Well,
but I have detached.
Good.
It's
all
delightful.
Bureaucracy, all bureaucracy tends to get evil very quickly. Control.
No question.
The control.
No question. I have a feeling. That when I'm on stage, I'll be in stage in front of about, I think 8,000 people last time. And I have a feeling that the guys that I'm going to be running against are the incumbents. So they are already in the position of director. and I don't know if I'm going to be able to help myself, but one of the questions I'd like to turn around at the microphone and face my opponents. Okay, now they have all been selected by the nominating committee.
Of course.
And I have not.
That's an insider job.
So the question I'd like to ask them, Dr. Shealy, is, so, our founding fathers have decided that, you can serve, and it's a wonderful thing to serve, and then give someone else a chance. Give someone else a chance to serve. It's not supposed to be a job for life. So the question I'd like to ask on stage of those running against me is, so remember the founding fathers, guys, right? And they wanted to give other people a chance. Are you willing to give anyone else a chance, or are you going to stay here for life?
And you know the answer to that one, don't you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I think I'll see a lot of red faces.
Right.
I think, in that little question will expose what's happening. That the people who are running for re-election really don't want to give up what little control they have over the rest of us, or the lot of control they have over the rest of us. And I find it objectionable.
In my humble opinion, in any corporation, it's supposed to be nonprofit, especially, but any government corporation, there should not be a possibility of re-election. One term and you're out forever.
I totally agree.
It's the
Absolutely
only way
agree.
to avoid nepotism, because it is nepotism.
Yes, there's plenty of nepotism. That's, family members. We had George Bush 1, and then we had W, George Bush 2, and he was the guy who implemented No Child Left Behind in the educational system, which really, if you translate No Child Left Behind, translates to No Child Has a Chance.
And then, of course, his brother tried, and thank God failed.
Yep. And then, not only that, they have family friends. And all these guys are in it together, and they act like, I'm going to fight for you. And they don't mean that. They mean they're going to fight us. That's what they really mean. They're going to fight us, and for what they can get out of us. Dr. Shealy, I found something very interesting out. I described it a little bit, but I want to share it with you as well. I found that I was driving on a suspended driver's license. And the only reason I found out this was because my wallet was stolen out of my truck. And so I went to the DMV to get a replacement. Okay, so I went there and I said, geez, my wallet was stolen. I need a replacement driver's license. And so they went through the computer and they said, oh, your driver's privileges have been suspended. I thought, impossible. There's a mistake. Absolutely impossible. Can't be. And so there was an unpaid ticket of $20. So I said, I didn't get any tickets. I don't have any parking tickets. I don't have any traveling tickets. I don't have any citations. I don't have any of that stuff.
So the person who's
I don't know what you're
wallet.
talking. Well, here's what happened. It's the worst possible scenario, Dr. Shealy. When someone is not viewed nicely by the state, they can have a clerk put maybe transpose a couple numbers, have someone else's ticket appear on your driver's license number, and then you have a fine. And if you don't pay the fine within the prescribed time, you then automatically get suspended by the system. So allegedly, there was some transposition of account number or driver's license numbers. Someone's ticket appeared on my number. I didn't pay it because I didn't know about it, and it wasn't my ticket. It was someone else's, or it was all made up. One of those two things.
And so government flub.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to a government alleged government representative of We the Villagers, and he told me in no uncertain terms that it happened to him too, because he really didn't want to vote the way they wanted him to vote. He didn't want to toe the line according to the system. So they conjured up a fictitious ticket, and he got a suspended license, and he was driving on a suspended license. But he got stopped by the cops. And that's how he found out. So he tracked it down in Jefferson City and tracked down who originated this problem for him. So what I'm saying is the system, the big bad government, can do these things to people, and you don't find out about it until the big bad government comes down on you really hard. Now, in my case, fortunately for me, someone stole my wallet and caused other problems, but I didn't learn about it by being arrested for driving on a suspended license. Shocking, isn't it?
Well, you saw the latest flub over CNN and how it was caught lying and admitting lying, and it got taped.
Yeah.
Of course, one of the things I say when I see it, that's why I don't watch TV, period.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trust anything that I see on TV. I don't care who puts it out. I wouldn't accept it as truth.
I agree. And, and people are beginning to stop asking me, hey, have you seen, like on TV? No.
Well, I was just asking if I've seen Wonder Woman. No, I haven't been to a movie in over 25 years.
I don't think I have either, Dr. Shealy. And I can't, well, if someone asked me who the top 10 singers are or the top 10 bands, I couldn't tell them.
I can't say
music,
one, let alone 10.
well, that's what I mean. Any one of the top 10. I allegedly I should know, but I don't. I'm not interested. I don't follow sports. That's another thing. Dr. Shealy, do you think that following sports, having your favorite team, your favorite player, knowing the statistics on these players, is a distraction that really is something that we should avoid?
Well, I have never liked to watch other people exercise. I prefer to do it myself. So there is not a sport that I would like to watch. Yeah.
I remember hearing a guy say that his wife said, "Why are those guys running around in short pants and chasing that ball? And then one guy jumps on it, and then all the other guys jump on that guy. What's going on?" And the man said to his wife, "Imagine it's on sale." We'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. That's Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, medical doctor, brain surgeon, surgeon of the year, author of well over 30 books, and he's a broadcaster. He's been broadcasting for decades. Dr. Shealy, I had a neighbor stop by, and he mentioned floaters in the eye. And can you tell us what floaters are, and can we do something about them, or are they of concern? Are they a warning of something that may appear to be worse later? What are floaters, and what do we do about them?
Well, they're little bits of protein, if you will, that have sort of coagulated or become physical instead of being dissolved in the liquid inside the eye. I know of no treatment.
Okay.
Period. I mean, it's amazing. But of all the things, ophthalmologists are pretty far out in a lot of things that they do. They can be a symptom. I mean, if there's a lot of them, it could be a serious problem. But in general, just a little bit, if you will, don't worry about it.
Okay. I mentioned with you on this broadcast many weeks ago about this person that I know the husband of this lady, and she ended up being diagnosed with this growth between her eyes on her brain, and it was exerting pressure both on her eyes and her brain, and it was growing. And you mentioned that surgery, there were no other options to resolve this, and if it weren't resolved by surgery, she could lose her vision and ultimately die from this. And I believe that's what you said.
Oh yes, absolutely.
She had the surgery. She had the surgery recently, and they were concerned. The surgeons were concerned that it was going to be really tough, and it was going to be a a long surgery, about 7 hours. It might have taken even longer. It might have gone to 11 hours. But I don't know the full report. But I do know that her eyesight was preserved, which is a really wonderful thing. So, this was a risky surgery. You had mentioned that this was the solution. They followed that medical advice, and so far, so good. So I wanted to share that with you. And Dr. Shealy, there's something else I would like to share with you. Do you have any comments on that, Dr. Shealy?
Well, I'm just delighted you had the surgery because, it is one of the most gratifying things in neurosurgery to be able to take these out. And as I said, I think probably originally, that most of the time they are benign. They're not cancer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Dr. Shealy, I read an article about diseases and sun signs, and I believe we started to talk about this. Do you think that there is a relationship between, the day you were born, the day of the month, for example, the sun sign, and specific diseases? Like more diseases happen at certain when a person is born in certain months. You think have you followed that to the point where you're convinced?
I looked it up, and thanks for sending me the connection. And statistically speaking, there is a correlation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say, as with everything else, it's like everything else in life. It's relative. In other words, your parents influence you significantly. Your teachers and friends influence you significantly. Your astrological impact, if you will, with which you were born influences you significantly. But we know that most genes are controllable. In other words, the predisposition to develop, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis, or the predisposition to develop diabetes, etc., is overcome if you have excellent health habits. It's called epigenetics, meaning that these predispositions are not absolute going to happen. They will happen if you have sloppy health habits. So if you smoke, if you're overweight, if you don't eat lots of vegetables and fruits, if you don't exercise, if you don't sleep adequately, all of these significantly.
Plus, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us. And Dr. Shealy, Sharon is joining us, USA Preparedness Instructor in Montana. Welcome, Sharon.
Good morning. Hey, you were talking about floaters, and I have dealt with lots of floaters due to a bunch of eye issues I have. And I heard a guy on the radio say that if you took 2,000 units of vitamin C every day, that it would help get rid of floaters. And I've been doing that for probably 9 months, and a lot of the little ones are gone. I still have one big one, but I believe it has really helped, and it wouldn't hurt anybody to take that. So it's just a suggestion.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. As you undoubtedly know, vitamin C is one of my all-time favorite supplements. And I had not heard that before, but that does suggest that it is cutting down on inflammation somewhere in your eyes in this particular case. But because floaters somehow seem to be related to cumulative inflammation throughout the body. So I'm not surprised, but delighted to hear that vitamin C could help reverse it.
Well, it seems to have helped me. I've been very, watching it really close because when I'm in bright light, I see a lot of them. But I do believe it's cut it down about half of what I had before, and I had a lot. So I figure it's probably healthy for you anyway, but if somebody wanted to try it, it sure isn't going to hurt anything.
Exactly. Have you... You've been checked and don't have diabetes or any major disease that you know of?
Well, no, I have I'm trying to think. I'm extremely nearsighted. Myopic macular degeneration. My eye is so extended that it is now prone to wanting to bleed in the back because it's so elongated, and I am getting older. So I've got to be seen for that, but because of that, I end up with a lot of floaters, and so I'm very proactive about the whole thing. because I wish to see till I die, which I hope to be for a long time from now. But anyway, I was just saying it did seem to get rid of probably half of the little guys that were all over. So, can't hurt to try it.
That is
Sharon.
wonderful. Thank you so much. I will be passing that along.
All right. Thanks a lot, you
Sharon,
guys.
Sharon, before you go, can you describe for those who may not know what we're talking about, what a floater is to you?
Well, to me, it's just like a little shadow in your way, and you can sort of see through it, but it darkens that area when you're looking out, and they're just everywhere, and they're really distracting. So, and they move. If you move your eyeball, you can actually get them to move a little bit because they're in that gelatinous stuff inside your eye, and so they move around. And so sometimes they'll move towards the back, and then they won't be as visible, but they just move around slowly, real slow.
And when did this seem to happen? Was it at a certain age, or did you have a few and then they became more? How did you notice this?
I probably have had them for a long time. It's just I've had a couple bigger ones, as I've gotten older. I don't really know. I'm not really one who obsesses about how I feel and all that kind of stuff. I try to be aware, like my eyes I'm very conscientious about now that I know I have some issues with them. But I kind of just go on with life. So I can't tell you. I'm not like, oh no, I got a little owie or something. You know what I mean? I'm just sort of, someone go, where'd you get that? I go, I guess I bumped myself,
Well,
so I don't remember exactly when I got the floaters, but I do know I had a lot of them. And when I heard that guy, I thought, man, I have nothing to lose by trying this. So,
as long as I've known you, Sharon, and your husband, neither one of you has ever complained about an injury, an ache, a pain, and I know your husband has had some serious surgery. He had some, and whenever you call, both of you are always upbeat, and you never say, please excuse the, all these noises that I'm making because I'm in such pain. Neither one of you has ever done that, and that positiveness, I want to congratulate you for it. It's contagious and it's wonderful.
Well, I thank you, but I think I was just sort of born with it and encouraged by my family. I don't come from a family that whines and complains, so you just go forward and see the good stuff. So, but thank you anyway. I was just going to throw that out there for you guys.
Thank you, Sharon.
Well, and
thank you for calling in.
For giving me that information. I will pass it on.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Dr. Shealy, I was thinking about this this morning before the broadcast. When Mrs. Finelli gets up, it's always, what a great day, and she's all get a big smile on her face, no matter how she feels. What a great day. And I was thinking, how does that translate into health? Just that, making the best of what we have, even though it might not be all that pleasant at the moment, just putting a smile on your face.
Top of the list, no question about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People always ask how you are, and I always say fine. I wouldn't think of not saying fine to anybody under ordinary circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the alternative is to, how you doing? I'll tell you what, have a seat. I got a list here. Let me tell you about these things. It's a long list, so you're going to want to sit down because it'd probably take an hour or so. Dr. Shealy, I wanted to share one thing with you. We were talking about my new positive passion, which is, teaching people about taxes and also running for the board of directors. Where I am in this little area of Missouri, people who run for positions say something that garners the attention of the locals. And it's just a few words. And it's amazing to me that it works, but it does. And they'll say, I'm from here. I was born right up there, over there, just over the hill or just up the road or just down the road, but I'm from here. And it seems to cause them to win. Now, my question to our entire class is, have you ever gone to a medical doctor, for an appointment or discuss surgery or before the dentist starts drilling, have you ever said, hold it, wait, stop. Are you from here?
And does from here mean all my life or the last year?
Well, and that's the question. So I just on stage, I might just say, I'm Vince Finelli, and I'm from here. As a matter of fact, we're all from here. You know, all 8,000 of us are from here. Some of us got here this morning. Some of us got here a few years ago. Some of us had our mothers just drop us off here.
Some of us, at least mentally, never got here.
Yeah, and some of us, the ones who are more recent to the area, who researched the area and decided that this was a place to be. We got here relatively recently, but and we bought our land, and then some of us whose families have been here for a real long time, they stole the land from the Native Americans. But we're all from here. And, I just want to plant that seed that I didn't steal our farm, okay? And I know you didn't steal your farm. You paid for it. We paid for ours. But, people before us did steal it from the Native Americans.
You bet.
Actually stole the land.
The entire country.
And so, yeah, it's a pretty nice place. Well, I think we'll take it. And I think that is, ties to the doctrine of discovery, so that when you land on an unclaimed land, you can claim it, you can discover it, and once you discover it, you can claim it for whomever, your country, the king, the queen, whatever. But if Columbus was here and claimed the land, he wasn't the first here, because the natives, the American Indians, were probably saying, "Whoa, hold it! What are you talking about? You discovered it. You're a little late to the party." Dr. Shealy, one of the things that I was hoping we could chat about today is acupuncture, and then transcutaneous acupuncture. You've done a lot of study, a lot of research, have come to a lot of conclusions and findings. And can you teach us what is acupuncture?
Well,
how does it work? What is it? And then lead us into transcutaneous acupuncture. And, it may take a half hour to do this. However long it takes, I'd like our class to understand what actually is acupuncture. We've all heard of it, but what is it?
Well, acupuncture is officially the use of actually a needle, generally made out of stainless steel, but it can be made out of other metals, which is inserted into specific points that have been documented as effective over the last 4,000 years. Now, as a neurosurgeon and a lifelong neurophysiologist, it made sense to me when I started dealing and studying pain management to put a needle into the center of the area that hurt, and then a needle above and below that, and stimulate the one below to the one above, not stimulate the one in the center of the pain. Interestingly, years later, when I actually began to study acupuncture, I learned that that is a traditional acupuncture technique. That they would put, for pain, they would put a needle in the center of the pain, but not stimulate it. And their stimulation was physical. They would twirl with their fingers the point above and below the area of pain. And so as I began doing this, I actually gave a paper back in the early 70s called electroacupuncture, because I was the first person to put electricity onto acupuncture needles. And initially, that's all I did. It was basically to try to control pain. So in 1973, I took a course in England from Felix Mann, who was a British physician who studied acupuncture in France. Now, in the Western world, acupuncture was introduced into France in the mid-1600s by Marco Polo. He brought back some of the acupuncture tests, and they've actually used it medically in France for 400 years.
Looks like we're going into a break, and when we come back, let's continue this with Dr. Norman Shealy.
Happy to. I love it.
Class, Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, medical doctor. And if you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com, SHEALY.com, Dr. Norman Shealy's website. And if you'd like to subscribe to this same newsletter that many of us here at USA Prepares get, it's absolutely free. And you'll find it quite enlightening. You'll get it several times per week. And all you do is go to normshealy.com. And you'll see a button you can push, and you can sign up for the newsletter. You'll need to enter your email address so you can receive it. You will not receive sales calls. You will not receive that barrage of advertisements that you receive if you do a search on a search engine. So it's just between you and Dr. Norman Shealy, so he can get you the newsletter. And if you'd like to check out the page that you can buy products like Bliss oils and magnesium lotion and so forth, normshealy.com. Dr. Shealy, you were talking about acupuncture, and you were teaching us about how this works and how the acupuncture points work. Please continue.
Okay. So the Chinese somehow, intuitively, I presume, figured out a long time ago that there are projections from organs inside the body to the surface of the body that have sort of a line. Let's say the heart meridian. The heart meridian starts on the upper outer chest and goes down the side of the little finger side of the arm all the way to the tip of the little finger and back. It's a two-way circuit. It doesn't go only one way. And they believe that acupuncture along that meridian, for instance, can help treat diseases of the heart. And so, you have all of the different organs, the small intestine, the large intestine, the lung, et cetera, et cetera. There's just no question that, first of all, I discovered that if I stimulate one point on the heart meridian, for instance, let's say the one out at the tip of the little finger, I can measure that electricity going up to heart 1. So I have demonstrated to my satisfaction that in these acupuncture meridians or lines, that the energy does travel. Now, so they've developed many different ways, not only treating pain, but treating essentially all disorders of the body by putting in needles at specific points. Now, there's also, in addition to the organs from the inside of the body, they have what they call the conception vessel, which runs up the front of the body, and the governing vessel, which runs up the back of the body. And all of these are involved in what I would call balancing the energy in your body. And they have excesses of energy or blocks of energy, and you want to, of course, go around or get either of those to stop being in the way of natural energy. Some points are considered masculine and feminine, being more positive and more negative, or darker and lighter, etc. It's a whole philosophy of life. And they have circuits, for instance, that they call the Chung Mo. And the Chung Mo was their understanding of the endocrine system, so that they would have specific points for treating disorders of the testes or the ovaries. That's the sexual organs, or of the adrenal glands, or of the thyroid gland, etc. They did not, interestingly, know about the pituitary gland, so they did not have a circuit for treating pituitary dysfunction, but it pretty well covers everything else in the body. And obviously, being around for thousands of years, different strokes for different folks, and people who claim theirs is superior to that and the other. All I can say is that for pain control, acupuncture can be an excellent therapy. For instance, in migraine, people who have frequent migraine, let's say once a week type migraine, There are specific points which, if I stimulate those electrically with acupuncture needles once a month.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked, blissed. Here we go. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, and Brad. Brad has joined us on Wednesdays. He engineers the broadcast at GCN on Wednesdays, and we're delighted. We're delighted to have you with us, Brad. It's wonderful being side by side with you. I had a chance to chat with Brad during a few minutes before hour number 1, and I look forward to spending more time with Brad on the air. Thank you so much, Brad. Dr. Norman Shealy, we were talking about migraine headaches. We were talking about acupuncture, and I believe you mentioned that you are treating someone once a month. Is that right, for migraines?
Well, with acupuncture, if I'm just doing regular acupuncture, it takes about anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and then that can turn off the migraine long term. And the same is true for all kinds of things. One of my favorite treatments for certain kinds of low back pain is to put just 2 needles into the center of the pain. Now, I said when I'm doing regular acupuncture, I would not do this. But if I want just to quiet an area that hurts, I can put a needle, one on both sides, in the low back and stimulate it right up to painful levels. And the patient can adjust the strength of it, and they gradually turn it up as high as they are willing to tolerate. Doing that for 30 minutes can often knock out the pain, just that one treatment for a month or more. So there's many variations of what you can do with acupuncture. For instance, women who are having an excessively long period, there's a certain number of places I could put acupuncture needles and turn off that excess bleeding. Or a woman who has not started, is very late in getting her period, I can put in needles into certain positions, stimulate those, and start her period within less than 24 hours. I've demonstrated in men who have a low sperm count. I think my all-time record was a man that started out with something like 9 or 12 million, and I got him up to 54 million. Fertile is above 20 million. And so there's no question that you can help to normalize all kinds of functions in the body using acupuncture. The next step in my own evolution was 1994 when I was invited to come to the Ukraine in Kiev and study what they call microwave resonance therapy. They had discovered, starting in the 1980s, that human DNA, that control center, if you will, of all of our cells, resonates or vibrates at 52 to 78 billion cycles a second at a billionth of a watt. And so I studied that for 2 weeks and came back and began working with those frequencies and developing an electrical stimulator that would put out those frequencies. And indeed, about that time, I intuitively began to get the things I call the sacred rings, the rings of fire, air, water, earth, and crystal. And they came in that sequence as I got one at a time. And there were specific acupuncture points that were that, and I demonstrated. For instance, if we stimulated the ring of fire with these 52 to 78 billion cycles a second, it would raise DHEA, dehydroepiandrosterone. If I stimulated the ring of air, my initial finding was neurotensin, a neuroleptic type chemical that we do produce. Water was aldosterone, earth was calcitonin, and crystal was reducing free radicals. Now, the problem with electrical stimulation, you're talking about 12 points in fire and 13 in the other 4 circuits, it takes 3 minutes of stimulation at these frequencies. That is, so we've got 4 pairs of electrodes six pairs. 6 pairs in fire. That's 18 minutes, and all the others, because you have to round out the circuit to 14 points. It it's 21 minutes. And I found that people weren't interested in doing it at home. We found we could do it without needles, but just putting electrodes, the little tiny electrodes on the points. And so 6 years and a couple of months ago, I intuited that we ought to be able to do the same thing with essential oils, and gradually over a period of several months developed mixtures of essential oils which, when rubbed onto the points, will do the same thing. And that's what I call transcutaneous acupuncture, that is, across the skin. And actually it takes about 30 seconds to apply one of the bliss oils to stimulate a particular circuit like fire, and they're all pretty much the same. 30 seconds for any one of them. You can do all 5 of them in 2.5 minutes. And interestingly, then, we had already found with electricity that if we activated fire, earth, and crystal, which would raise DHEA, calcitonin, and reduce free radicals, it would, over a years-long time, allow the telomeres to grow 3.5% a year instead of shrinking 1% a year, which they do under ordinary circumstances. And so then we converted to using the oils, and that 3 of them takes only 1.5 minutes a day, and we demonstrated that using fire, earth, and crystal bliss, your telomeres, the tips of your DNA, will grow 3.5% a year, which, instead of shrinking 1%, which theoretically is one of the healthiest things you could do for living a long time healthily. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are at this point in time.
And you proved that with Mrs. Finelli and my mom, that you grew their telomeres.
That is true. Yeah. And your oxytocin came up strikingly within 30 minutes when we did a test on you with the ring of air.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting, Dr. Shealy. So here's a question that I have. When someone hears you talking about this, they might ask, well, what about the risks? Are there any risks to acupuncture, first of all, with the needles? And second of all, are there any risks with transcutaneous acupuncture?
Okay. Obviously, it is possible to get an infection when you put a needle through the skin. Mm-hmm. I mean, we always wipe it off with alcohol beforehand, and I have not had anybody who's gotten an infection that I know of, but it's possible. Now, if you stick a needle in the wrong place and go too deep, you could obviously get inside the body. But again, that would be, I mean, acupuncture is not meant to go very deep. And so that would be a mistake in practice. As far as the oils are concerned, the same thing is true with every once in a while, somebody is going to get a little rash from the oils, even though there are 5 to 8 specific essential oils in each of the mixtures. But they're only, each one of them is 1% of the total, so anywhere from 95 to 92% of what's in the mixture is what's called a carrier oil. And the carrier oils are not irritating to the skin. Mm-hmm. But it is possible, someone even at a 1% dilution, to have a slight redness or irritation of the skin. But I haven't seen anything more serious than that.
I did a quick search on the internet. I typed in acupuncture. And it looks like the search engine knows about where I'm searching from. And it provided me with kind of a marketplace of who is performing acupuncture in this local area. And my question for you, Dr. Shealy, is if I were interested and I just picked any one of these people who perform acupuncture, is all acupuncture the same, or is it like medical doctors where, MD after the name or DR in front of the name, that gives you an indication of what the person does, but not how well that person does or the experience level. Is it the same with acupuncture?
Absolutely. Let's face it. In my belief system, the intention of the person doing it is maybe as important as everything else. Bill Schiller, a great, wonderful PhD physicist friend of mine, has done a lot of work on imprinting intention into electric motors. We did one of the early experiments here, 15 years ago, where one of our students just had 150 names. It had a baseline of their overall health, etc. And they were run 24 hours a day in the presence of a motor that was just to imprint health. And they were compared with 150 names of people who didn't get exposed to this intention motor. And health overall, over a 7-month period, strikingly, statistically improved. So intention is something that affects everything. And, there are people who hold themselves out as healers. Well, some of them are better than others. It's like just as we talked about with that case of the tumor affecting vision. There are neurosurgeons and there are neurosurgeons. Some of them are better than others.
Let me see if I've got this right, Dr. Shealy. So if a surgeon is going to perform an operation and the surgeon says, geez, this is going to be lousy. Having a lousy day. Yesterday it was a lousy day. Today's going to be a lousy day. I can't wait to get out of here. Are you saying that will affect or can affect the outcome of the surgery?
Absolutely. I know, no doubt about it.
Are we also saying that saying grace has a positive effect?
Absolutely, same thing.
Let's talk about that when we come back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, medical doctor. Dr. Shealy, we're talking about grace and intention, and I can tell you that at our family here in Missouri, when we have a meal, we will say grace, and it's a short prayer of thanks before eating, and a lot of people do that. Now, are you saying that the intentionality of the positive aspects of being thankful and saying grace before a meal has an impact on us?
You bet.
Okay. How is that? How is that manifest?
Ambrose Worrell was an engineer who worked for Marietta or whatever. Anyway.
Martin Marietta?
Martin, that was the word I was looking for. He was also the husband of Olga Worrell, who was known as the best healer in history. And he wrote a wonderful little booklet back in the mid-50s called Essay on Prayer. And the essence of that little booklet, which is one of my favorite all time, is every thought is a prayer. Thinking sets in motion spiritual forces to bring about changes in body, mind, health, companions, hopes, desires. In other words, everything in your life is affected by every thought that you have.
Quite fascinating. Very, very fascinating. And is there something that in the thought process will help us with concentration? Being very deliberate in the way we think about something. Is there a way we can make that happen better, Dr. Shealy?
Yes. It's called, I call it retraining the nervous system, because the vast majority of people have anger, anxiety, or depression to a greater or lesser degree affecting everything in their lives. One of the reasons that people are unhealthy is anger, guilt, anxiety, or depression. That affects everything in their life. And I often say you can't afford the luxury of those emotions. So the single best thing anybody can do is practice something like autogenic training. I've talked about this many, many, many times. Autogenic training was derived by a German psychiatrist, started in 1912. There are now 17,000 scientific references showing the health benefits of autogenic training. You must do it somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes every day, twice a day, for 3 months to retrain the brain and the body and the mind. After 3 months of twice a day, you can get by with about 3 to 5 minutes once a day. And it is the foundation for what I call detachment. That whole concept of, if I am not willing to spend my life energy on something, I don't want to waste it worry-warding about it. I don't want to, spend any time whatsoever being angry or upset over something I cannot choose, I cannot change. Therefore, I don't want it even to affect my body, my mind, my health in any way whatsoever. And I detach from it. And that, once you practice this for a while, it's automatic. When something comes up, it's like, let's say this whole thing about the Obamacare act that the Republicans are so blank stupid they can't get overturned. Well, I could get upset over that because I think Obamacare was horrible. But the Republicans can't come up with anything even as good, practically. And I'm not going to waste my time because I can't get them to be sensible. Therefore, I detach from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll tell you, our medical system is an absolute mess.
It is a shambles.
I'm even talking about the insurance, medical insurance. There are so many pitfalls.
But remember, Vince, when I was 59 years of age, 25 years ago, I wrote a book called Third Party Rape, in which the first sentence is, in the beginning, Blue Cross Blue Shield begat the evil empire.
Yep. I've got the book right here, right in the studio. Got an autographed copy from Dr. Norman Shealy right here in the studio. Third Party Rape by Dr. Norman Shealy. We'll be right back, and I'd like to ask Dr. Shealy about bronchoscopy. What is a bronchoscopy? When we come back. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, and we're talking about grace. I'd like to just continue a little bit before we talk about bronchoscopy. Dr. Shealy, the Catholics say a grace that goes quite like this, and it's before the meal. Bless us, O Lord, for these thy gifts which you are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. Others say, bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which you are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. And I found one on the internet just a couple minutes ago, which I think is really, really nice. And it's a Zen blessing. And it says, in this plate of food, I see the entire universe supporting my existence. Fascinating.
Well, I think the important thing is the positive. I mean, first of all, the idea of blessing. That the word bless is positive. And anything else you add to it is fine. But the most important is the positive nature of consider it essentially a sacrament.
And there's one that says it's a variation on the Native American Thanksgiving, and it says, we give thanks for the plants and the animals who have given themselves so that we can enjoy this meal together. We also give thanks for our friends and family who have traveled here today. May this meal bring us strength and health. And that's a variation of a Native American Thanksgiving. And, they're all the ones that I've read are very positive, as you've mentioned. And do you think that there is a certain group of words that would come together in sentences that are required, or is most of it derived from the positive aspects of saying grace?
Yes. Anything else you add, as long as it's coupled with the positive, is fine.
Wonderful. Okay, bronchoscopy. Dr. Shealy, there are a bunch of medical terms that we may not understand. What is a bronchoscopy?
Well, it's actually putting a tube down through your mouth, through your esophagus, into the big openings, bronchi, of your lungs. I mean, it's something you don't want to have to be too concerned about because it can make you panic. But it is a procedure that can be very useful in helping to make a diagnosis, or sometimes when someone has aspirated, that is, gotten into the bronchus, an object that doesn't belong there.
Okay. How dangerous is it if someone inhales something that shouldn't be there?
Well, it can be very dangerous. It's going to, at the very least, it's going to cause pneumonia.
Okay. And is that something that has to be removed? I mean, let's say someone swallowed a grain of rice or something like that. Just
most of the time, you're going to cough that up. If if you don't get it coughed up, it is going to cause a local irritation and probably infection.
Okay. And when a bronchoscopy is being done, and are scrapings done to see what might be the cause if that's desired, or is there housekeeping that's done? In the lungs.
They can actually scrape the bronchus or even cut out a little piece of it to look at under the microscope if there's if they're looking for the possibility of cancer.
Okay. And are there risks associated with that? I mean, it sounds like there could be bleeding. Are there risks?
Oh yes, obviously there are risks. Anytime you invade the body anyway, whether it's for a reason or not, there's always a slight risk. But the risk in the hands of someone who's experienced is pretty minor.
Okay, Dr. Shealy, I've gotten some phone calls in the past of people who have been diagnosed with one kind of a cancer or another, and what I've noticed is the rapid decline and the rapid death of people who have been recently diagnosed with cancer. And I don't remember it that way in the past. I remember people would be diagnosed with cancer and they would get some kind of a treatment, and the cancer would, it wouldn't kill them right away. What I'm seeing now, and maybe it's just an anomaly, maybe it's just me, but it sure seems like when someone is diagnosed with cancer now, at least the people I know, they seem to die very quickly.
The chemotherapy is getting more and more potent. I have never, as an intuitive thing, since I was in my medical school and residency training, when they began chemotherapy, I have always felt I'd rather be dead than be poisoned. So personally, I would not accept chemotherapy. But
why is it that chemotherapy seems to be such a widespread treatment for cancer? Is it because it's a last-ditch effort, like, wow, I don't know what else to do, so let's try this poison?
Well, that's true. Interestingly, there are suggestions. I don't know that there are any accurate statistics on it, but there are suggestions that a majority of physicians would not take chemotherapy.
A majority of physicians would not take it. However, do a majority of them have their patients take it?
Yes.
Huh. Wow. I guess knowing what happens after you take it would cause you not to want it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who said that chemo was great. I don't know anyone who said that. Dr. Shealy, yes?
I do mention, because he does it publicly frequently, one of the miracles of modern therapy is my dear friend, Sergei Sorin. He had stage 3 colon cancer and was treated with chemotherapy and radiation and surgery over 10 years ago, and he is a cure.
And he's also a MMA fighter. He's a mixed martial arts fighter.
He also has the right attitude. Here's what I was looking for. Most physicians refuse chemotherapy for themselves. This is reported in Natural News a year ago. As if undergoing chemotherapy wasn't daunting enough, recent research has revealed that 3 out of 4 physicians and scientists would prefer to opt out of this devastating treatment.
Doesn't it bring you to the edge of death?
Well, that's right.
Well, I can tell you I have the greatest respect for your medical partner, Dr. Sergei Sorin. He's an emergency room doctor. And Dr. Shealy, of all the medical professions I can think of, being an emergency room doctor has to be one of the most stressful, if not the most stressful, because every minute is life and death.
It would be for me. It's not something I could choose, but I think Sergei, it's like his what I call his martial arts fighting stuff. I think it excites him. I think he's almost addicted to it.
Well, you and I and he and Mrs. Finelli and Dr. Soren's wife and Ed Marvini all had dinner together, and you took us to dinner. It was wonderful, and I got a chance to see him, and I wanted to say, Dr. Soren, does that hurt? I mean, it looks like you got hit over there. Does that hurt? And I have a feeling he would have said, yeah, but you should have seen the other guy. Jeez. I would not want to be an opponent of Dr. Sergei Soren in mixed martial arts. No question about it. No question about it. Dr. Shealy, so the cancer, are we explaining that by the chemotherapy? What I've seen is the rapid decline of someone who's been recently diagnosed with cancer. You think that the correlation there is detection of cancer, okay, chemotherapy followed by a rapid death. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
is that what the link is?
The chemo, as one after another has failed, they've gotten more potent. That doesn't mean they're better; they're just stronger.
Okay. Can a CAT scan detect an aspiration?
It probably could. It might need to be done with contrast. In other words, they can inject into you a material that shows up on X-ray, and it's going to be attracted to areas that are irritated.
Okay. And will an X-ray detect an aspiration without the contrast?
Well, again, it depends on how much irritation has happened. If it's already gotten inflammation, early infection, etc., yes, it would show up on a regular X-ray.
Okay. Next question is overweight pets and their owners. And there seems to be an increase in the number of overweight, well, just pick cats, for example. Very large cats, 2x, 3x, 2 times normal size weight, I should say weight, 3 times normal weight, way overweight, cats, domestic cats. And so my question is it possible that it's the food that the cats are eating? Is it a possibility that there are medications in the food that the cats are eating? Is it possible that, well, maybe if there's an overweight cat, there's an overweight owner, and the overweight owner is not getting the proper exercise, therefore the animals in that house may not be getting the right exercise, and all of them are just kind of watching TV together? Do you have a feel for...
That's a sloppy household.
Yeah, but where do these big cats come from? And and I'm wondering, do you have a thought? Could there be a correlation? Is it food, or is it all the above?
It's all the above. It's always all the above. Attitude, behavior, etc.
Okay, when we come back, can we talk about 2 things quickly? One, hyperbaric chambers to fight disease, and vertigo. Hi. Class, Dr. Norman Shealy's with us, and if you'd like to go to his website, normshealy.com, 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 and that's where you can sign up for the free newsletter, same one that I get, and that's where you can shop, and you can buy your bliss oils or your magnesium lotion, the way I do. Dr. Shealy, I just saw something on the internet very interesting, and it's this saying, never make fun of someone if they mispronounce a word. It means they learned it by reading.
That's great.
Isn't that great? Class, never make fun of someone if they mispronounce a word. It means they learned it by reading. And that's something that is in decline, in my opinion, in the United States of America. That is reading. Reading, I believe, is in decline. Not here, and not with Dr. Shealy, that's for sure. Both of us are voracious readers. Dr. Shealy, hyperbaric chambers to fight disease. What are your thoughts about that? What are they, and how do they work, and does it work?
Well, it is useful for some things. It carries some risks, of course, like everything else, but I like it better than any drug in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we're talking about a pressurized oxygen chamber. Is that right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about taking let's say a whirlpool bath, hot whirlpool bath, and if you could get into a baggie, if you will, while you're still damp, and fill that with oxygen. I'm not talking about high pressure. I mean just oxygen surrounding the body. There's just been the pores have been opened up right after immediately after a whirlpool bath. Is that something that might have a benefit, or is that risky?
Well, as long as there's plenty of oxygen in that bag, you could have. You can get oxygen in tanks. You can get machines that produce 95 or 100% oxygen. So you have an endless supply with those. It would be helpful because the skin is going to be more useful. But the major benefits of hyperbaric oxygen are the ones you get through breathing it.
Okay. So we're talking about being in almost like a submarine, a small submarine.
Exactly.
That would be just a little bit larger than the body, and you go into this chamber, and now isn't that pressurized? Isn't it greater than atmospheric pressure?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it has been useful in such things as cancer. Certainly is a lot safer than chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm. And are there successes in it? Is that what you're saying? There are?
Indeed. The biggest success is probably in people with severe damage to the leg from diabetes, with ulcers and near cutting off of the leg, etc. There's not a lot of evidence that it is treatable for things like Parkinsonism or stroke, multiple sclerosis, but it's pretty safe.
Okay. What is vertigo, Dr. Shealy?
It's dizziness.
Okay.
True vertigo means that you feel as if you or the room is moving in space, twirling around, so to speak. And that can be an indication of something going on very serious in the neck or in the brain or in the blood supply to the brain.
And so if someone is experiencing that, Dr. Shealy, I've seen this on TV, you find that pilots say that they had vertigo, and that's where that came from. So what does a person do if they're experiencing the symptoms you talked about, the dizziness, the spinning?
If it is significant, they should go to the emergency room.
Okay.
There is a place
Dr. Shealy,
for medicine.
How do we get in touch with you? If we want to come see you at your clinic, what do we do?
351-5221. 417, of course. 351-5221.
Class, that's area code 417-351-5221. That'd be during normal operational business hours, Central Time. Dr. Shealy's clinic is in Springfield, Missouri. He has a practice that is with Dr. Sergey Sorin, emergency room doctor, MD, and you get a chance to meet them in person. And that's 417-351-5221. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much. I'll see you next Wednesday.
Always fun. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.